I was born in South London of mixed parentage. My mother was German, who was born in Kobe in Japan, and that is where my father met my mother after the war in the early 50s, I think. And then they came back to England, to Norbury in London, which is where I was born, and my brother and sister, who are both older than me. I'm the youngest of three. I had a very happy childhood. I'd started painting a little bit at school and 1 year at a faculty, but then I tried to get onto a degree course for 4 years and I was rejected every time. And I'm grateful for that because that gave me a determination to make something of the painting. So then I started developing my voice as a painter. But in London, I had tremendous success as a painter. I had lots of exhibitions. I exhibited in the Tate Gallery, in the Victoria and Albert Museum. I'd spent 3 years recording the extension to the National Gallery, the building of this cultural monument, from a hole in the ground to the finished exhibition. I was like an unofficial artist in residence, and they very kindly gave me a small exhibition when they opened the building to the public. This was in '91, and then in the beginning of '92, the Building Centre in London offered me an exhibition, and I managed to show all 203 works there, sketches, photographs, drawings, prints, and paintings. So I had this fantastic exhibition covering all the wall space that they had. And I'd gone there one Saturday to show a friend the exhibition, to take them round. Afterwards, we parted company, and then I walked towards Covent Garden. And at one moment, it was almost like an epiphany moment, and this is the second great epiphany moment that I've experienced. From the corner of my eye, I looked through a doorway, and I saw a photograph at the end of a corridor, a picture that I'd seen a few days before in an article in the newspaper written by a colleague of mine. So I recognized that picture. And I was curious about it, what's this picture doing here? So I went in and I saw this exhibition there of photographs of destroyed cultural monuments from Croatia. And I was so shocked by that. So I said to myself, I must go to this country. I'd not really heard of Croatia before. I knew that there was a war going on. And I took a note of all the names on the credit panel. And I systematically went down the list and phoned everybody whose name I could find. And eventually I found a lady called Jadranka Beresford-Pierce. And now she had set up the International Trust for Croatian Monuments. Her sister is the painter Ljiljana, and Ljiljana had organized the photographs, which were sent to London. And so this was the exhibition that I saw. So I contacted her and I said, look, I'm a painter. I want to go to your country. I want to paint the destruction around the country wherever it's possible to get access. So I spent 10 days in Zagreb, and it was the most profound experience I'd had until that point. I'd never really experienced a war situation before, and everybody's emotions were heightened. So after 10 days of working in Zagreb, I went back to London. And then I went to the people who managed the estate, that part of London, the Howard de Walden estates. And I approached them for an empty shop that I'd seen in a very fashionable part of that part of London, in Marylebone High Street. When they gave me the shop, I covered the floor with debris, with bricks, with glass, with burnt wood, with the debris of war. The glass window I taped up across like people did in villages and towns. And then I painted the title of the picture of the exhibition, on the glass window. And I called it Calm, Blast, Echo, Echo, Calm, as a kind of consequence of the events. I continued to teach myself the language until I got to a point where I felt I needed more formal teaching. I tried doing an evening class at the embassy in Croatia, in London, sorry. An evening class at the Croatian embassy in London, which was very good, but not quite enough. I needed more background. So I decided to leave my job, and I got a place at a very well-known, very famous school of Slavonic studies at London University. And then I finished the year. The day after my final exam, I immediately packed up my flat and came back to Zagreb because I'd invested all this time and energy, and I felt this strong emotional connection to this country. And it was something that I wanted to explore, why I had this connection. So I came back, and for the first 5 or 6 months, I wasn't sure, shall I stay? Shall I go back to London and try and find a job there? And my decision was kind of made for me when I found a dog on the street. And we were inseparable for 10 years, so that was the decision that was made for me. People are always amused when I say that I found the dog before I found Jasna, but that was the chronology of events. So meeting Jasna kind of sealed the decision that I would stay here. We felt that we immediately had something in common.
12 varieties.
Did you film them?
I took a lot of pictures.
Here.
Pa Andrew i ja smo se upoznali davne 2004. godine. I on je meni bio interesantan jer je bio prvo Englez, onda umjetnik. I tako da smo malo se družili i iz tog druženja evo rodila se veza i kasnije brak.
Dobro,
Jesi se proborio? Toliko.
Operations, food, training.
And after a little while of being together, Jasna wanted to get a flat, that we have a flat together. She gave me a copy of Plavi Oglasnik and gave me instructions to find a flat. And when she gave me the copy of Plavi Oglasnik, I immediately turned to the weekend page, ran my finger down a list of properties and stopped where it said Kuća uz Mrežnicu. We came to have a look and immediately we saw the potential. We liked what we saw. The house was in a bad condition, so we had to do a lot of work on it, but we liked the amount of space around the greenery, the fields. And so we decided to buy it. So I got a cheap little video camera, one which used tapes. And then I filmed the workers doing the work. And then I saw an old lady, Baka Yela, who lived in what is the oldest house in the village. And I asked her, could I film inside the house? She obligingly said yes, of course. And then within 3 months, she moved out. And that ended almost 80 years of occupation. And I realized at that moment how quickly the village was changing. So I decided to record all of these village traditions. And this project reminded me of something a famous English writer, Thomas Hardy, once said. He said, I believe it is better to know a little of the world very well than a lot of the world very little. And that has always been my philosophy. I would walk around the village. Normally, nowadays, it takes me 20 minutes. Then it would take me about 2 hours because I would have to stop everywhere and I would have to try the local wine, perhaps Orakia. So I would be walking as I went around the village and crawling as I came back because it was almost too much sometimes.
Hej Štef! Jesi doma?
It astonishes me how a story can survive. And the story belongs to everybody, and everybody tells it differently. But within the different stories, there is always a kernel of truth. And one profound thing that Mika, who's our last harmonica player at this end of the village, he said to me, when I said to him once, you know, everybody here, they must have 100 stories. And he corrected me and he said, no, there's not 100 stories. There is just one story. And this was a profound moment. And I realized at that point that the way you read the village is not that there are 100 disparate stories, but like the village is like a piece of rope with 100 individual strands. And the strength of the village comes from all those strands together, bound together. So every story has its place and is important.
Moj cvjetane, cvjetane, što ćemo sada mi, kako dragu da nađemo skupa ja i ti. Moj cvjetane, cvjetane, gdje si sada ti, kako dragu da nađemo skupa ja i ti.
To date, I've published altogether more than 100 films. There are about 73 films in the series called Scenes from a Village, which are the documentary films. And I've covered a whole range of subjects. The characters who populate my film, I almost see them now as film stars because some of them have appeared regularly in the films. And they are probably the typical characters that you would see in any village. You have the hard-working people like the postman, who is not just a postman. He has a large flock of sheep. He works in the local council. He's a real spokesperson for the village. And I think the village survives really because of his efforts.
Je vas slušaju još?
Ne uvijek.
Ne uvijek. A morate se popraviti malo.
Super.
Dobro.
Dobro.
Pa se vidimo.
Ok, dobro.
Da. Moram žuriti, imam puno danas.
Dobro, ok.
Ajde, doviđenja.
Ajde, doviđenja.
Pozdravite gospođu.
Hvala, hvala.
Bukovlje je na desnoj obali rijeke Mrežnice. Ima 333 stanovnika. A sad u zadnje vrijeme čitavo djece ima. Ajde, hvala Bogu. Pred 10 godina smo imali 3-4 đaka, sad ih imamo 11. Povećava se, to je pozitivno. Svi se mi bavimo poljoprivredom za osobne potrebe, jer to je naučen tako narod od prije tu da ima za sebe. Imamo jedno par OPG-a koji imaju ovce, tako na kraju imam i ja 60 komada. To isto u svoj posao i s tim se zabavim, tako da ne ostane zemlja pusta i neki prihod se ostvari. On ništa ne priča, on to fino ide kamerom, obilazi i snima da niste ni svjesni da vas snima i onda kad vam to kasnije prikaže, stvarno to je filmić, okej.
When I compare the situation in England with here, much of what we know in England is already consigned to history, to the history books, to the oral tradition, to museums. I mean, I would never imagine in England that I could film a man ploughing with 2 horses and a plough, a real plough. And that was a fantastic opportunity to record that.
Dobro večer svima. Drago mi je da vidim toliko ljudi. Baš mi je drago. Dobro, kao uvod, htio sam vas pokazati ovu sliku, vam pokazati ovu sliku. Ovo je mjesto gdje sam živio u Londonu. To je zgrada sa 30 stanova, a tu sam živio 15 godina. I za to vrijeme upoznao sam jednu osobu. Prvih 15 dana u Bukovlju skoro sam se upoznao pola sela. Dakle, večeras ćemo vidjeti filma na temi zajedništvo i običaj. Hvala.
Već smo razgovarali ja i ti o tome. Recimo, naše selo, Bukovlje, nije bilo kuće koja nije imala stoke. Bukovlje. Nije bilo industrije, nisu bili zaposleni. Tek tamo, početkom 70. godina, došlo je do industrializacije. Kako je došlo do industrializacije, već je selo dobilo po repu. Volovi su prodani, pa su kupljeni traktori. Već su počeli prvi pokazatelji odumiranja sela. Koji smo stariji, pa se toga sjećamo, možemo samo svojoj djeci, unučadi pričati kaj se izgubilo kroz 30-50 godina kaj se izgubilo. A to je ogromno gubitak. Neka je kaj je vrijednost te stoke, nego vrijednost onoga života, zdravog života.
I always try and see the good side in people, and I'm always interested in kind of older people because they are the repositories of wisdom. And I saw a picture a few years ago which I've created my own version of, and it was a picture of a group of old ladies. And the text above it was Village Google, we know everything. And underneath, just a simple statement, just ask. And for me, that's a shame that, that my generation and the younger generation are not bothering to ask the older generation, about what it was like, even in the war which had a devastating effect on the village here. But just village wisdom, I think it's so interesting. So I'm trying to record what I can, but I think the old people, they are like living museums. And unfortunately, in the 9 years I've been filming, a lot of dear friends of mine have passed away. But the children and grandchildren of these people, they're actually now appreciative that someone went around and recorded. few years ago, I became a member of the Ženska udruga Bukvice because I thought it would be another creative outlet for me, and I wanted to learn the process of stitching, of embroidery and weaving.
Naša misija je izrada ručnih radova, izrada predmeta sa etno uzorcima, očuvanje tih starih običaja, skupljanje starih predmeta. Jednostavno želimo njegovati taj jedan stari način života koji je nekad postao, a i danas postoji. Evo, Bukovlje je prilično isto koji možda prije 50 godina u nekim stvarima.
I thought it'd be nice to try and create an identity for the udruga. I came up with a design of a bukve and a leaf from a beech tree. And we started printing this design. And this design requires 4 templates and then another one to have the name of the udruga. But it's a technique that I've used for many years to create pictures in London and here.
Službeno osnovane smo 3.12.2009. godine. Trenutno brojimo 15 članica i članova, 2 muškarca i 13 žena. Mi se zapravo predstavljamo na izložbama. Okosnica, ono što cijele godine čemu se veselimo, što pripremamo, je zapravo izložba uslijed dolaska turista iz Amerike. Pa evo, otkad ja znam za udrugu, ja znam i za Andrewa. Znači, on sve motivira, tjera napred i sve ovo što se događa, zapravo svi ti turisti koji dođu, zapravo su njegove zasluge. I on je jednostavno započeo tu priču o Bukovlju koja jednostavno nema kraja. Jednostavno je to neiscrpan izvor kreativnosti, što mi nismo znali da je to moguće jednostavno, ali on je to nama prikazao i cijelome svijetu na jedan drugačiji način. I zaista smo ponosni. Postoje 2, evo, rekla bih, udruge u Bukovlju, to smo mi i to su DVD-ovci, znači naši vatrogasci. I većina mladeži je zapravo tamo.
The fire service, I recorded the young men rehearsing for the competitions that they do each year, and then I filmed the competition that they were involved in. You know, so I'm trying to record living traditions, living culture, living habits.
Na natjecaje je išao s nama, sve snimao na požare, čak ove koje smo imali tu u mjestu, snimao i požare i evo, jedan požar je snimio kuće objekta gdje je bila velika šteta.
Podnošću izvješće o požaru koje smo imali 10.7.2011. godine u našem mjestu, u Gornjem Bukovlju, na kuće broj 24. Požar sjenika i kuće u Bukovlju dojava požaru u 14 sati i 10 minuta. Na zvuk sirene odazvalo se 19 vatrogasaca koji su izašli na požar u 14 sati i 20 minuta. Budući da je požar bil velikih razmjera, požar je kasno najavljen, tako da je već na izlasku na požar sjenik koga je prvega zahvatila vatra, već je sav izgorio i vatra se proširila na drvenu kuću. A samim izlaskom na požar vatrogasci su spriječili širenje požara na novu izgrađenu kuću, tako koja je spašena, a ovaj dio je izgorio i tu nismo mogli učiniti ništa.
Taj film je on isto dao na internet i dobili smo donaciju iz Amerike od jedne osobe $1000, DVD-u pomoć, kao sve je njegova zasluga, tako da svaka čast puno nam vredi i puno nam pomaže.
Bukovlje has offered me so many different forms of inspiration. I've been recording individual songs, and I want to give these songs a new life and use them in a different way. So I've been adding different music. And when I started making the films, I never wanted to use music from other people because there are copyright issues, and also the music is also a part of my own self-expression. So I started composing little bits of instrumental music on the guitar in order to fill in gaps and for the beginning of the film and the end of the film. And then gradually, I was becoming a bit more demanding of myself. You know, I wanted to stretch myself further. And I got a music composing program, which enabled me to create orchestral sounds. And I didn't really know much about music, so I studied musical theory, just like I did with studying film theory, you know, how to edit films. So I studied musical theory, so that I could then hear music in my head, or the music that I was hearing in my head, I could put down onto paper. When you do a painting, then you have the finished work, and you absorb it immediately when you look at a painting. When I first came here, I tried to paint the landscape here, but the landscape here is so different from English landscapes that I couldn't find a way into painting it. You can see various examples around here, and I like them as pictures, but they are missing some kind of crucial quality. And I think that's because the light is here so much more brighter than in London, in southern England. And the colours are so much more brighter, the light is much more intense.
Andrew i ja živimo u Zagrebu, a kad je proljeće, ljeto, jesen, onda smo dosta tu u Bukovlju, jer volimo prirodu, imamo vrt, voćnjak, psa i onda ljepše nam je tu nego u stanu u Zagrebu. Ali uglavnom imamo dvije baze, ajmo reći, Zagreb i Bukovlje. Nekad se podijelimo da on prošeta psa, ja kuham ručak. Nekad zajedno šetamo kroz šumu i blizu nam je i Mrežnica, pa ljeti se kupamo. Mrežnica je super za kupanje.
Nalazimo se na kasnoantičkom nalazištu crkvišće Bukovlje, smještenom u selu Gornje Bukovlje. Negdje u 4. stoljeću nastaje utvrda, u 5. stoljeću se gradi crkva i dosad smo istražili 3 objekta za stanovanje. Obodne zidove, to jest zaštitne zidove same utvrde u širini od 2,5 metra i dužini nekakvih 30 metara, mjestimično i manje, sa jednom kulom, a znamo da ih je bilo najmanje još 4. I uspjeli smo ustvrditi da život u to dobu uopće nije zamro, dakle trgovačke veze su izrazito jake i aktivne. Imamo potvrdu o trgovanju s čitavim Mediteranom, a jednako tako i sa prostorima samog Rimskog carstva. 2012. godine kad smo počeli istraživanja na ovom nalazištu, moj kolega Krešimir Raguz iz konzervatorskog odjela Karlovac rekao nam je da tu u selu postoji jedan entuzijast koji će nas malo doći snimati, ali da se mi ne obaziremo na njega. I tako je bilo. On je došao, nešto je snimao, nešto nas je malo ispitivao. Mi smo više onako ovlaš s njim tu i tamo progovorili koju riječ, ali nismo se previše obazirali na njega. Da bi za jedno 2 mjeseca na moju mail adresu došao film kompletan o našim istraživanjima. Ja sam ostala izbezumljena. Uopće nisam znala šta bi ni mislila ni rekla. Nakon toga sam ga nazvala, naravno zahvaljivala se. Ali moram priznati da sam bila vrlo pozitivno šokirana, jer ne očekujete tako nešto, pogotovo ne od stranca koji, osim što je tu bio silno zainteresiran za sve što mi radimo, nam je usput i pokazao još potencijalnih 25 lokaliteta, mislim koje je on, eto tako, u razgovoru sa seljanima došao do zaključka da bi ih moglo biti. Tako da smo doista bili oduševljeni s njime i od onda je on, pa recimo, stalan dio naše ekipe, svake godine je s nama, snima, komentira, zainteresiran je za apsolutno sve, tako da evo, čak mogu reći da smo postali prijatelji.
Imamo vrt, ja inače sam iz grada, Andrew je isto iz grada i nikad nisam ni sanjala da ću nekada raditi na zemlji. Ali kako je Andrew kao Englez, oni vole vrtlarstvo, onda sam uz njega zaljubila se u to jer volim kad imamo naše povrće koje je ekološko i kad ga uberemo i odmah od njega ručak napravimo, to mi je nešto posebno.
Both my parents were keen gardeners, and they left a deep impression upon me that a garden was an important place, not just for recreation, but for relaxation and for meditation. You know, as you're digging the garden, getting involved in the soil, touching the soil, smelling the earth, it is wonderful for the spirit, for the soul of the character. So we grow a few crops here, which I see other people are growing around, and I watch them. And when they plant something, then we plant something. But there's one plant which I brought from England. It's called rhubarb, rhabarbera. And I've been growing it now for about 3 or 4 years. And then there's always more than I can eat. So I've been taking it to people who I've introduced it to. And now 1 or 2 people want me to bring them a plant back from England. But rhubarb for me is a little piece of England, and when I make it into a crumble. But you can't eat it alone. It has to go with a sauce, I would say, called custard. Now, custard is a British institution, and my friends, they compare it and insult me when they compare it to a Croatian product called pudding. That's the nearest equivalent, but it is a very different flavour. But the combination of rhubarb and custard together is a taste of England that I really appreciate. The films that I've made to date, I've published on YouTube. I have 3 channels. Andrew Norris 1 is for poetry and films about Zagreb. Andrew Norris 3 is my music, my compositions, but Andrew Norris 2 is the site for all the films about the village. And one day I got a message from a woman called Peggy. One day she put into the Google search engine, into the YouTube search engine, instead of Google, Domšić. And one of my early films came up, number 10, called The Village of the Dead. Now, it's a very basic film, but it contained important information for her. And it showed the cemetery in Bukovlje and a number of gravestones with the name Domšić. So she watched the film a few times, she got very curious, and she pulled out the family tree, and she was comparing notes, the film, with the family tree. And that's how she thought that I was filming her family. It was an extraordinary moment. And for us, it really confirmed that your search had come to an end.
Which was very, very gratifying, very gratifying. I mean, as you know, when I saw your films, particularly The Village of the Dead, I pored over that film for literally hours.
Yes, yeah.
Compared each headstone to the family tree, and it's been very emotional since then.
I believe it,
It's a good feeling to know that I've connected with my mother's side of the family.
Yes, yeah. And she spread the word about my films to various people, including someone she knew called Robert Yering, who was a genealogist in America. And he comes every year bringing parties of Americans around Croatia, and then they go to the National Archive in Zagreb to research their individual families. And he asked me one year, do you think we could all crash your village and have a day with you? And we thought, why not? So we got the ladies of Bukovlje to organize an event for them. And we put on a most wonderful event for them, you know, a simple event. I mean, these people were coming to Bukovlje. They'd been to Dubrovnik, they'd been to Split, they'd been to Zagreb, you know, famous cities. And they were saying, why are we going to this little village Bukovlje? What is there for us? And it was only when they arrived that they realized why they had come. And as each person said, it's like they're coming home. Here they found a connection with their ancestors, which was really the point of coming here. And so now they've been coming every year for 5 years, and they're coming again in September. I think being a foreigner offers me certain privileges, so that when I approach them with the camera, they realize, oh, you know, it's just that crazy English boy with his camera, so just let him get on with it. And so they accept me like that. Ironically, in all this time, I've only had one compliment afforded to me, and that was a man who said to me, you know, you've made us feel proud of our village. I think in terms of the future, my future is here. I've invested so much of myself here that I can't imagine myself uprooting myself again to go back to England. I feel a profound gratitude that I've been able to experience something which I'd only read about in England. In terms of a reward, doing it is my reward. You know, for me, the act of creativity is the greatest spiritual reward anyone can get, whether it's filming, painting, writing poetry, or digging the garden. You know, that's enough.